Casey Neistat is no quitter. Now that's something I want to talk about. Casey Neistat is a YouTube sensation. Since 2015, he's been uploading his daily blog and has achieved over 5 million followers, as well as over 1 billion clicks or views of his material. Like, the guy is phenomenal in terms of his capability and what he's been able to achieve on the platform. And yet now, having achieved monumental success in YouTube, he's killing the very thing that made him successful. However, it's the right decision. To understand why Casey needs to leave the daily vlog and to move on from it, I want to refer to the work of Anders Ericsson. Anders Ericsson has spent his life studying experts or professionals in the field, people who have achieved monumental success and accolade. And he spent his life trying to understand the makeup and the psychology and the sociology and perhaps even anthropology of why successful people or experts or even geniuses are able to do what they do. Now, to try and understand what's going on a little bit better, I need to refer to a word called homeostasis. And I hope I'm saying that correctly, because I know there's going to be a whole bunch of science majors out there who will be very critical if I'm getting the word wrong. Homeostasis has to do with how any organism tries to maintain balance. And it can refer to any general balance, but for the most part, it tends to refer to living organisms. Specifically, our bodies are organisms that crave balance and stability, or homeostasis. Our bodies are really resilient to change. They like to maintain things. They like to maintain a regular temperature. They like to maintain a regular sense of balance and functionality and organization. When things happen to our bodies work to bring back order. So for instance, when we get a cold or something happens, our bodies actively work and produce antibodies to try and restore order. Or when we get dehydrated, we crave water and we try to rehydrate ourselves to restore order. This balancing act is happening in our bodies on a daily basis. And one good way to sort of look at this is through the element of professional athletes. Now, let's say that I go out for a run. I go for a 3-hour run one day because of, Pokemon hunting or something, and my body can handle that, and it's good exercise, it's good healthy. I might get exhausted, I might suffer oxygen loss from running, or I might start to sweat more and lose hydration, but the body is going to work to restore order. In fact, a lot of the time, the body stays stable in terms of its weight because whether you go up or down through dieting or exercise, it's designed to try and maintain that balance. And so that's why weights often fluctuate. But we already know that that can be changed fundamentally, and that's true. And that's part of what we need to understand, is how that change happens and why it happens. So let's say that someone like me decides to go jogging 3 times a week and increase my cardiovascular. And this is an example I'm taking directly from Ericsson. So I go out running and my muscles are having to do extra work. I'm losing kilojoules. It's burning up energy. Oxygen is not moving around my body as much because my capillaries or my arteries are becoming more restricted through the extra activity. I'm starting to get warmer, so there's a lot happening biologically. Now, if I do that for a week, as I said, my body's just going to go back to normal because as far as it's concerned, not much has happened. Now, let's say I continue that routine for a significant period of time. And again, drawing upon the example, let's say that we focus in on the fact that my body is now more deprived of oxygen than it was before, simply through the extra activity or through the exertion that I'm running. My body is going to have to react to that situation because it's being prolonged. This isn't just a week, it's not just a day, it's not just an event. This is an ongoing, prolonged process now. It's starting to move into weeks or months. And that regular deprivation of oxygen needs to be counteracted. So my body will produce capillaries. It'll find ways to oxidate my blood better. My body will start to try and create a balance again. It will try to restore the balance. But now my body is at a different performance level. Now I have a different homeostasis. And this is why people, when they start exercising, will see levels of growth relatively quickly, but will plateau or bottom out. This is the difference between someone who runs every day for 20 years and a professional athlete. Someone who runs every day for 20 years will get a much healthier lifestyle, but they won't continue to grow in speed or ability or distance simply because their body will get used to the amount that they do and will create a homeostasis. An athlete, however, will continue to find ways to push the body outside of its comfort zone. An athlete will continually try and push the body beyond its balance or beyond its homeostasis or beyond its capabilities. So while the runner is doing perfectly good things for their health, the athlete is continually pushing beyond their capability to improve their body limit. If you want to get a sense of how well the body can continually be pushed beyond its capabilities, let's look at how many push-ups you can do. How many push-ups do you think you can do right now? Because the average person can do maybe 10 to begin with, or with some exercise or training, they can get themselves up to 20, 30. Peak performers got up towards the 50, 100. You start to look at the real experts and they're getting into the multiples of hundreds. Minoru Yoshida holds the record for the number of push-ups done non-stop. I hope I'm saying his name right too. He managed non-stop 10,507 push-ups. The body is incredibly capable of pushing beyond its boundaries time and time again. And so long as we're continually working outside of its balance or outside of its homeostasis or outside of what we think is capable, then the body will see exponential growth and is capable of far more than we really give it credit for. But understanding that is really important to understanding how our brains work. Now, when we talk about the brain, it's not the same as doing push-ups. Doing extra study doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to get some sort of amazing sized brain. However, there are things we know about our performance intellectually. Now, one of the things that Ericsson suggests is that this homeostasis is as true for our physical performance as it is for our intellectual performance. And he goes through a few key examples of why he thinks this is true. Namely, he uses some research about London cabbies. Now, before you go knocking that, London cabbies are amazing, and you should go and look at the sorts of testing they go through before they're allowed to be a London cabbie. But he pulls up some key examples in which the brain is continually pushed beyond its capabilities. Specifically in his own field of research, they brought in a student that he was teaching, paid him essentially to come and memorize numbers. What he had to do was come in, sit down, and the researchers would read to him a list of numbers at 1 second intervals. The reason for that is the short-term memory is only capable of holding a certain number of numbers. On average, most people hold between 7 to 11 numbers without that much practice. So when this guy started out, he was doing really well. He was getting 9 regularly and then struggling to move beyond that. After hours and hours of deliberate practice, I really want to specify the term deliberate practice, managed to break past that 11 number count. That guy was able to get up to 22 numbers, but then he plateaued. Again, his brain had hit this homeostasis, but he was really committed by this stage to trying to move beyond that 22 number mark. So he dedicated hours and hours of deliberate practice to finding ways to break beyond that 22 mark. Well, he did, and he eventually got up to 30 numbers and then 40 numbers. And by the end of the research, he had gotten up past 80 numbers. 80 numbers read out with 1 second intervals, and he could recite all of them back accurately without making a single mistake. That is phenomenal. But the thing is that it's not because he was a genius. It's not because he had some amazing intellectual capability. It was because he was able to continually push himself beyond his homeostasis, or he was able to push himself beyond his capabilities and work to a higher level through deliberate practice, managed to get his skill level up to a point where it was phenomenally beyond the capabilities of others around him. But he's not even the one that holds the record. There was people who came after him who were able to hold numbers up beyond 100 numbers. It's insane. So let's jump back to Casey now, and let's listen to what he has to say.
When I think back to why I started this vlog, I spent so much of that time sitting here talking to you about this premise, about this idea that I need to challenge myself creatively. And I'd gotten lazy on this platform and I hadn't been posting. And by issuing a mandate to post every single day, I would challenge myself creatively in a way I'd never done before. And that's exactly what happened.
He states clearly that he set this as a challenge for growth. He was in a homeostasis in his professional and intellectual and creative process. He had hit a balance point, and he needed to move beyond it. So he started the daily vlogs with the intentionality that it was going to force him to be creative. It was going to force him to think harder. It was going to force him to find new ways of doing what he loves best. But let's listen to what he says next.
And I don't know, probably like 6 months ago, something like that, it started to get easy. I found a rhythm. I found a system for approaching this daily video that was no longer a challenge.
See what's happened now? Now he's hit a new homeostasis. Now he's hit a brand new balance. And so what's happening is a natural process. The vlogging worked. It was a wonderful exercise, routine process for bringing his level and skill level up to a point that it needed to be. But now he has to move beyond it. Doing vlogging for another 100 hours after this point isn't going to necessarily improve any. What it means is that he's moved from being a professional athlete to a guy who's just running day in, day out for half an hour a day. He's more like the professional athlete. He knows he's plateaued creatively, and so he's got to push himself higher, faster, harder. That doesn't mean that what he's doing is bad. That doesn't mean that his vlogs have lost their spark. It doesn't even mean that what he's doing is poor quality or poor work. In fact, he's working at a level far beyond many of us will ever be able or capable of achieving. But as a professional, as someone who is driven by that creative process, as someone who needs to push beyond that homeostasis, he needs to find a new path. Casey Neistat's vlog needs to stop, if for no other reason, so that he can continue to grow and develop as a person. And it doesn't even matter if the very next thing isn't as good as his vlogs, because what that will show is that he's starting to push himself into terrains and territories that are unexplored for him, or push himself in new skill sets that he hasn't tried, or give himself challenges that are new to him. And that's perfect. That's good. In fact, in any learning process, I would expect that the very next thing he does, if he's true to his process, if he's true to his creative path, will be harder and possibly not be as good as what he has been doing for the last year, simply so he can get to that next level. And so I think there's something we can really learn from Casey here, is that we're actually seeing the process of a professional. We're seeing the process of an expert in doing what he does, which isn't just about creating films, it's about being creative. I think what Casey's doing is not only the right thing for him, I think it's a lesson for all of us in terms of if we want to be people who grow in our profession or want to do well with the things we love, then this is what you have to do. You have to be uncomfortable. You have to move outside of that realm, that homeostasis place in life, and push yourself beyond those limits. The funny thing about learning is that we don't always know where it leads to, and sometimes we do things just for the sake of learning, knowing that the process is sometimes more important than the product. But I wish nothing but success for Casey, and I look forward to what he's going to keep producing and what he's going to be putting up on YouTube in the future. I have no doubt that he will continue to be a pioneer in whatever field he puts his hand to. In terms of what we have going on this week, now I put an update on Thursday saying that I was not releasing the core mechanic on Thursday for reasons of essentially, as I said earlier, there was a lot of content. I have to edit that content. It's 2 really big episodes, really, and I just couldn't fit it in with writing reports and marking assignments for school, all of which finishes today, by the way, which is why I'm wearing the Hawaiian t-shirt. This is our celebration. Gosh, we're pathetic. But I'm done, and so I will look forward to editing that and trying to get that finished for next Thursday. But you can also see what's happening at Gamerpalooza, so www.gamerpalooza.com.au. Always got stuff going up there. There's new products coming out you can hear about. There's game talk. There's lots of good articles going up there, so please go check that out. There may even be a bit of a feature about someone you know. Also, Instagamers are talking about abstract games this coming week. Definitely go check out Instagamers and what they're doing. Have a look at the abstract games that they've got coming up. And also feel free to check through any of their backlog of videos there. They've got some really good reviews going up online. Of course, Dice Tower's coming out this week, so go check out what's happening there. Other than that, we're heading into Christmas, so I hope you're getting ready for your summer if you're in Southern Hemisphere, or winter if you're in the Northern Hemisphere. Either way, I hope you're getting ready for a wonderful holiday season, and we'll probably have a chat about some of that holiday frivolity in weeks to come. But look, thanks for watching. If you're new here, please hit that subscribe button. If you like what we're doing, please hit that like button. Love to hear your thoughts as well. If you've got any thoughts on Casey Neistat or anything we've discussed, please put them in the comments below. Until next time, my name's Dave Adams, and that's what's happening now.